Welcome to this week's Watchtower Study for August 3 to 9, 2026. In this study, we will consider a subject that can help protect the peace and unity of the congregation, respecting the decisions of others. At times, a brother or sister may make a personal decision that differs from the one we would have made. It may involve health care, education, dress and grooming, entertainment, family rules, or some other personal matter, and because our own background, culture, or experiences may strongly influence how we feel, we might be tempted to judge that decision or speak negatively about it. But Jehovah reminds us through His Word, do not pass judgment on differing opinions. That does not mean we ignore clear wrongdoing. If a Christian is taking a false step that violates Bible principles or commands, loving help may be needed. But when the matter is personal and does not break Jehovah's law, we need to respect the person's right to decide for himself before Jehovah. This article will help us see why we should not make our personal preferences into rules for others. It will also show how we can promote unity by being humble, peaceable, and careful not to offend the conscience of our brothers and sisters. Let's get started. Question 1 and 2. Why do our personal decisions sometimes differ from those of other Christians? Answer. Our personal decisions sometimes differ because we are all unique. Each of us has a different background, culture, family experience, personality, and way of looking at things. So it is not surprising that two faithful Christians may make different personal decisions, even though both sincerely want to please Jehovah. The important point is that we should not allow those differences to disturb the peace of the congregation. Jehovah does not expect us to have identical opinions on every personal matter, but He does expect us to work hard to preserve unity. So when another Christian makes a decision that is different from ours, we do well to remember that his background and circumstances may be different too. That helps us understand why we may sometimes feel tempted to judge a fellow believer. Question 3. What might cause us to judge a fellow Christian for a decision he has made? Answer. We might judge a fellow Christian because we care about him and do not want him to make a decision that could hurt him spiritually. In many cases, our concern may come from love. We may feel that our experience, our background, or our understanding of the matter could help him avoid a mistake. But even when our motives are good, we need to be careful. Concern can easily turn into criticism if we begin to speak negatively about the person or pressure him to choose as we would. Love should move us to help when there is real spiritual danger, but it should also move us to respect personal decisions when no Bible command is being violated. That leads us to the next important question. When should we speak, and when should we respect the other person's choice? Question 4 and 5. What should we do if a fellow Christian decides to do something that differs from what we would have done? Answer. If a fellow Christian is thinking about doing something that violates a clear Bible command, then love should move us to try to help him. Proverbs says that open reproof can be an expression of love, so in such a case, silence would not be loving. But if the decision does not break one of God's laws and simply differs from what we would have done, then we should respect his decision. Romans 14:1 tells us not to pass judgment on differing opinions. That means we do not pressure him, criticize him, or speak negatively about him to others. We allow him to carry his own responsibility before Jehovah. To see why this counsel is so practical, the article next considers several personal decisions that could easily lead to judgmental thinking. Questions 6 and 7. Describe scenarios in which we might judge others for their decisions. Answer. We might judge others in areas where our own background has strongly shaped our feelings. For example, A brother who grew up with a father who abused alcohol may feel upset when he sees other Christians drinking alcohol in moderation. Because of his painful experience, he may feel that all alcohol use is wrong, even though the Bible does not forbid moderate drinking. Another example involves medical treatment. A sister who successfully battled a serious illness may pressure another sister with the same illness to use the same treatment she used. Her desire to help may be sincere, but medical decisions are personal and can involve many factors. The article also mentions someone who once belonged to a false religion and becomes offended when he learns that a fellow Christian attended a funeral in a church. There are also examples involving beards, dress slacks, additional education, and other personal choices. In each case, the danger is the same, allowing our own experience or preference to become the standard by which we judge others. The next paragraph shows that even parents can face this challenge. Question 8. What could cause a parent to become judgmental of other parents, and how might our having a critical attitude toward others affect the congregation? Answer. A parent could become judgmental when other Christian parents make decisions that seem more permissive. For example, one family may allow a later curfew, certain nonviolent video games, or a cell phone at an earlier age. Another parent may feel that such decisions are unwise, especially if his own child begins to compare him with those parents. That situation can create pressure, but it does not give us the right to become critical. Parents have the responsibility to make decisions for their own household, and not every family will handle matters in the same way. If we become critical, our comments can spread tension, weaken respect among families, and affect the peace of the congregation. We should never allow our personal feelings to become more important than congregation unity. To help us keep a balanced view, the article gives a simple comparison. Question 9. What should we remember? Answer. We should remember that when two Christians make different personal decisions, it does not automatically mean that one is right and the other is wrong. Jehovah wants us to agree on his standards, but that does not mean we must think alike in every personal matter. The article compares personal decisions to choosing a route when traveling. Several routes may lead to the same destination. One person may choose one route because it fits his needs, and another person may choose a different route for good reasons. In the same way, Christians may make different personal choices, but their destination can be the same, to please Jehovah. Remembering that helps us avoid judging others simply because their decision is not the one we would have made. Now that we have considered situations that could test us, the article explains why we should respect the personal decisions of others. Question 10. According to James 4:12, what do we not have the authority to do, and why? Answer. According to James 4:12, we do not have the authority to judge others in personal matters. Jehovah is the lawgiver and judge. He is the one who has the right to set standards for life, and our brothers and sisters are accountable to him, not to us. This is a very sobering thought. If a matter does not violate Jehovah's law, then we should be careful not to create our own rule and measure others by it. Personal opinions can be strong, but they are not equal to Jehovah's standards. Respecting that truth helps us remain humble and protects us from becoming harsh or self-righteous. That humility also helps us contribute to something Jehovah deeply values: unity. Question 11. How can we contribute to the unity of the congregation? Answer. We contribute to the unity of the congregation by valuing peace more than our personal preferences. Jehovah requires unity among his people, not uniformity. He created humans with variety. We have different appearances, personalities, tastes, backgrounds, and ways of thinking. That variety can make the congregation warm and inviting. but it will only be a blessing if we do not allow differences to divide us. So when others make personal decisions that differ from ours, we work to promote peace. We do not insist that everyone do things our way. We place greater value on the unity of the congregation than on our own opinions. The article then gives practical help for showing respect when we disagree with someone's decision. Question 12 and 13. What should we keep in mind if we feel that someone has taken a false step? Answer. If we feel that someone has taken a false step, we should first ask whether he has truly violated a Bible command or whether he has simply taken a different step than the one we would have taken. That distinction is very important. If the person is violating a Bible command, then qualified Christians may be able to help him with mildness. But if the matter is personal and does not violate God's law, we should not question him, criticize him, or speak negatively about his choice. We should respect his right to decide for himself. The article compares this to eating at a restaurant with a friend. We would not insist that our friend order the same meal we ordered. We would respect his choice. In the same way, in personal matters, we should not try to force others to make decisions based on our own preferences. Of course, respecting others also affects the way we make our own personal decisions. Question 14. How can you promote unity when making personal decisions? Answer. We can promote unity by trying not to needlessly offend others with our personal decisions. Sometimes, a decision may be acceptable, but we should still ask whether it will build others up or disturb their conscience. Christian freedom is not an excuse to ignore the feelings of our brothers and sisters. This does not mean that we allow others to control every choice we make, but love may move us to put aside a personal preference in order to maintain peace. Romans 12:18 encourages us, as far as it depends on us, to be peaceable with all men. So we do what we reasonably can to avoid causing offense and to protect the unity of the congregation. Elders have a special responsibility in this area, as the next question explains. Question 15. How can elders contribute to the unity of the congregation? Answer. Elders contribute to the unity of the congregation by not making rules on personal matters. They must not go beyond the things written in the Bible. By extension, they should also avoid going beyond the Bible-based counsel found in our publications. When a fellow Christian asks for help, an elder should not base his advice merely on his own personal experience, preferences, or strong feelings. Instead, he should help the person reason on God's Word and applicable Bible principles. That approach shows respect for the brother's or sister's responsibility before Jehovah. It also protects the congregation from unnecessary rules that could burden others or create divisions. The same spirit of respect is needed among the elders themselves. Question 16. How can an elder show respect for the decisions made by the body of elders? Answer. An elder shows respect for the decisions made by the body of elders by supporting the collective decision once the body has prayed for Holy Spirit, reviewed scriptural direction, and reached a conclusion. Even if his personal opinion was not adopted by the majority, he should work along with the decision loyally. An elder also avoids reading more into theocratic direction than is really there. He should not take a sentence from a publication out of context just to support his own viewpoint. This protects the congregation and helps the body of elders remain united. When elders respect both scriptural direction and one another, they set a fine example for the congregation. The final question helps us see the beautiful result of respecting personal decisions. Question 17. How do we benefit when we respect the decisions of others? Answer. When we respect the decisions of others, the congregation becomes happier, warmer, and more united. Jehovah created us to be unique, and our different backgrounds and personalities can make the congregation a beautiful place to be. But that only happens when we do not allow differences to divide us. We promote peace by refusing to judge personal decisions, by avoiding unnecessary offense, and by respecting the responsibility each Christian has before Jehovah. When we do this, we help maintain the unity of the congregation and enjoy the blessing described in Psalm 133:1, how good and pleasant it is for brothers to dwell together in unity. Now, brothers, let's answer the 3 review questions. Question: how can James 4:12 help us to respect the viewpoints and decisions of others? Answer: James 4:12 reminds us that Jehovah is the lawgiver and judge. That helps us keep our proper place. We do not have the authority to judge our brothers and sisters in personal matters or to measure their decisions by our own preferences. Of course, if someone is clearly violating a Bible command, loving help may be needed. But when a matter is personal and does not violate Jehovah's law, we should remember that the person is accountable to Jehovah, not to us. This thought helps us stay humble, avoid criticism, and respect the right of each Christian to make his own decision before Jehovah. Question: how can Galatians 6:1 help us to respect the viewpoints and decisions of others? Answer: Galatians 6:1 helps us make a difference between a false step and a different step. If a brother or sister is taking a false step, one that violates Bible principles or commands, qualified Christians may try to help that person in a spirit of mildness. But if the person has simply made a different personal decision from the one we would have made, then we should not treat it as wrongdoing. We should not question, pressure, or criticize him. This verse also reminds us that even when correction is needed, it must be given with mildness, not with harshness or superiority. That spirit helps us protect peace in the congregation. Question: how can 1 Corinthians 4:6 and 1 Corinthians 8:12-13 help us to respect the viewpoints and decisions of others? Answer: 1 Corinthians 4:6 reminds us not to go beyond the things that are written. This is especially important in personal matters. We should not create rules where Jehovah has not made a rule. Elders, parents, and all Christians need to be careful not to present personal preferences as if they were Bible requirements. 1 Corinthians 8:12-13 also helps us think about how our own decisions may affect others. Even if something is acceptable for us personally, love may move us to avoid needlessly offending a brother or sister. So these verses work together beautifully. We respect the decisions of others by not imposing our own rules on them, and we show love by making our own decisions in a way that promotes peace and does not harm the conscience of others.